everybody, my name is Ivana and this is another Brayton Consulting video, and today we have Ioannis here from Greece. Hello Ioannis.
Hello everyone, hello guys. Thank you so much for having me here today. I'm Ioannis from Greece and I basically love Russia.
So today we're going to talk about Ioannis' love for Russia, and let's just, without further ado, Ioannis, tell us about your story. You have a very rich background, your love for the country, you have shown it in the most amazing way with your YouTube channel, so let's just proceed and go ahead with it.
Yeah, of course. So basically, guys, everything started when I was like 16 years old, basically 2016. I started listening to the Soviet music and I started listening it every single day, basically. It gave me motivation to fight my struggles at that time. Well, the struggles that a high school student has, probably. But it gave me a lot of motivation. In 2016, a very unfortunate event happened. The plane carrying the members of the Red Army Choir actually crashed and fell in Syria. So this event really made me think about my love with this music, and basically I started researching the music of the Soviet Union a lot.
Sorry, Ioannis, can you please explain for the viewers what is Soviet music, who is the Alexander ensemble, so from the very beginning?
Of course, so the Soviet music, the particular music I'm interested actually is coming from the Red Army Choir. So this is like, for example, one of their CDs, and it's music mostly from the Patriotic War, the Second World War in Russia, where basically it was a very, very difficult time in Russia and Soviet Union actually. So a lot of music, very powerful music was actually created at that time. Music that came from the power of human voice, from a choir. So like the Red Army Choir, it started with Boris Alexandrov. So this music was created to inspire people, to make them actually even fight for the war. So imagine how motivational music, and this motivational music that worked for the people there back then, during the war, it actually works for me as well right now, to give me motivation to go throughout my life, actually, like to continue whatever goal is there at this moment. So especially after the crash, what this very sad thing, it made me like to research, learn about the music, and basically, yeah, I'm like until today listening to the music, and it has motivated me to visit Russia and do a lot of things there, which we are going of course to discuss today. And I actually, a very interesting fact is that I'm so much in love with this music that whenever maybe like at the workplace, maybe whenever I'm doing something, there's like the Russian music there. And it has made other people actually even get interested in this music and even actually visit Russia because of this music.
So, sorry, Ioannis, just another quick interjection. So, basically, for you, Soviet music is, you really resonate with it, and for you, it's kind of like a philosophy to overcome your own struggles. You take inspiration from it, am I right?
Exactly. There are a lot of songs that we can like. I can give you the titles, and maybe people can actually find them. There is like a lot of songs from the Red Army Choir in the Soviet Union times, where people made amazing songs with very nice lyrics, and it gives motivation to fight their struggles and basically cope with the difficulties that you have in your way.
That you came to Russia and you actually went to the Spasskaya Bashnya festival. Funny enough, it just finished again. I don't know if you remember, it has just finished in Russia for another year in a row. And actually, how did you find the festival back then? And how do you feel about the legacy of this festival continuing throughout so many years?
Exactly. So, well, after like finishing high school, and I had like I really wanted to visit Russia, and of course to experience the Russian music in the best way possible. So, after finishing high school, something very important is that I didn't have a job, I didn't have a plan, so I actually landed on an internship that I was making 120 euros per month. That is very low. So with 120 euros per month, I was collecting them to actually visit Russia and like experience the Russian music firsthand. So I was saving for 10 months, around 10 months, 120 euros per month, basically. And in 2021, I managed to visit Russia finally, despite the many difficulties, because we had the pandemic back then. I had my family telling me not to go to Russia. It was very difficult. I had to prove my family that I was able to go to this country. My family was very much pretty much the propaganda has taken over them from hearing so many stories about Russia. So I went to Russia alone at the age of 20. So, and I went to the Spasskaya Bashnya festival, exactly. So, and there, something very important, a historical moment. The Greek army was playing there at that time. So, basically, Russia has invited the Greek army. And I was listening to the Greek army marches and very famous songs of Mikis Theodorakis, a very popular person here in Greece. And basically, I was listening to the in the heart of Moscow, a very emotional days actually, because the festival goes actually for I think some weeks. So listening to the music in the Red Square, the music from the Greek army, an amazing experience. Of course, in my trip, this was my first trip in Russia. I also visited the statue of Volgograd, which we will discuss. Of course, it's also very important moment in this trip. Yeah.
So, talking about the Spasskaya Bashnya festival, you have some souvenirs related to your first trip in Moscow. Can you please
Yeah, guys. So,
showcase these
of
little
course,
things that you
of
have?
course. And I actually have the chance to show you. So basically, here, guys, I have that's me in my first trip, and I also have in this. It's a photo album basically. And I was very lucky because I was able to take also photographs with the members of the people that took place in the Spasskaya Bashnya festival. And as you can see here, and also this is how it looks like, basically, for those that may not know the festival. So it's like a very, very big festival with a lot of armed cars. And basically, there are a lot of fireworks. You can see here, I have it in my albums. And I was able to also meet the people of the Greek army that were there. So it was very interesting to see that. I think when you think about it, things like this are not even possible anymore. Like very recently, my country, Greece, has blocked the entry of a very popular Russian artist in our country. They didn't allow him to come and perform. So 4 years ago, in 2021, I saw the Greek army in Red Square, and 4 years later, you see the exact opposite. Greece blocking the access to Russian artists in our country. So take this as a message that there is no right time. So basically, if I waited and didn't make this trip happen, right now you see all of these difficulties that are going on. I will have like missed an opportunity of a lifetime to see the Greek army in Russia. Like, if you think about it right now, it can't happen.
That's very inspirational. So, if you would give one advice to someone that would like to either see Russia or experience it, maybe like a local living there, other than the courage to actually go and do it, what other practical advice that kind of ties in with the courage that you talked about, what practical advice could you give for people to actually use it and just go ahead with it?
Of course, yes. Of course, the most important thing is to remember that there is no right time to make this trip. Because if you wait until the right time comes, we have a lot of examples for this, where people waited and waited, then something happens, maybe a health problem. So do not wait for the right time. So, but apart from that, not to wait the right time, because there's always something going on, is to research, find something that you are in, like in Russia. For me, it was the music, and the music was very inspirational. Find something that you truly love about Russia. Russia has something for everyone. It has like all types of things that you may want to experience in life, like different environments, different. You have tundras, you have volcanoes, you have mountains, you have all the types of land. There is something for everyone in Russia. It's just to find something that you truly like, and then everything will follow. There are information out there, especially guys, you can see that with the Braden Consulting, they have so much information about the bureaucracy, how to visit the country. So you will actually find the information slowly, you will build it up, and then you will make this trip possible, I guess, like me.
So one of the biggest advice you are saying, basically to sum it up, is to actually research and make use of all of the resources available, like our channel, like other media outlets that talk about Russia, and like your channel as well. So what you're doing, right? What's the main kind of idea behind your channel? So obviously it's promoting Russia, but what else do you input in it? What do you want people to see?
Η Ρωσία έχει τόσα πολλά πράγματα, έχει κάτι για όλους μας. Από τις τεράστιες πόλεις, στη φύση, στον υπέροχο κόσμο.
Yeah, so my goal actually is to inspire other Greeks, especially Greeks, because for other countries, for example, they have English speakers that have videos in English. They have like available videos in English, so you can find. But Greeks in Greece, we don't have a channel or anything actually promoting what's inside Russia. So my long-term goal will be to promote Russia to Greeks and to Greek people. So. It's important for me to make them understand that there is no right moment, and that like Russia is not what a lot of Greeks actually in their minds understand that. They understand that Russia is different, but they don't know how different it is, how it's to be in Russia. So that's what I would like to do in the long term, let's say, to inspire Greeks and make them understand that Russia is completely different. It's a very, very nice country.
So when one of your trips you lived like a local and you traveled a lot, can you actually talk about, you're saying that Russia has a lot to offer, but what exactly does it offer? So you listed regions in the sense of like nature, but what else in terms of experiences, in terms of things that you thought were valuable and important in Russia?
Αυτές τις ημέρες οι σκέψεις όλων θα είναι στην μεγάλη ημέρα της νίκης. Περπατάμε περίπου 10 χιλιόμετρα, είναι τεράστιες αποστάσεις και μόνο από εδώ, αν κοιτάξεις πίσω μου και μπροστά μου, βλέπεις τι υπάρχει. Απέραντη φύση για ώρες. Πω πω, χαμός. Εδώ είμαστε, με τους φίλους. Απίστευτη δύναμη. Πω, από τα καλύτερα τάγια, Απίστευτο να σε δίπλα σου. Κοιτάξτε, εδώ είναι ο καθεδρικός ναός του Ιησού Χριστού του Σωτήρα. Είναι πολύ ιδιαίτερο να βρίσκεις εδώ. Πρέπει να προσέξεις, να ληπτείς, ότι δεν ξέρεις τι μπορεί να συμβεί. Είναι φοβερή αίσθηση να βρίσκεις εδώ. Αισθάνεσαι τη δόξα που εκπέμπει το Κρεμλίνο, η κόκκινη πλατεία, η Ρωσία.
I will give you some examples because after my first trip, it was very successful and I took experiences from it. So I was able to do something even bigger. So what I did was to find a job, a normal job, not like the internship job that I mentioned previously. And I landed on a normal job, so I was saving more money. And I did a once in a lifetime probably trip. I traveled to Russia for 3 months. So the first 2 months, I lived like a local in Moscow. So basically used the metro, which is very nice, attended some very nice events. I had a chance to finally see the Red Army Choir live, which was pretty much a dream. And I was also there for the Victory Day, so in May. So living and experiencing Victory Day, I think May is a fantastic time to visit Russia.
Η μέρα της νίκης σήμερα στη Ρωσία και μαζί με τους φίλους Ρώσους γιορτάζουμε τους βετεράνους μας. Όσο εμείς τιμόμαστε τους βετεράνους μας, δεν πρόκειται να πεθάνουν ποτέ. Συγχαρητήρια για την ημέρα της νίκης. Χρόνια πολλά σε όλο τον πλανήτη. Αυτή η νίκη ανήκει σε όλο τον πλανήτη. Ο σοβιετικός λαός μας έφερε τη νίκη παντού. Χρόνια πολλά.
With the Trans-Siberian Express, I flew actually to, I have it here, Lake Baikal, which is right here. I went to Lake Baikal and basically started the train journey, the Trans-Siberian Express, the very famous, the longest train journey on Earth, actually. It takes a lot of days to do this. So I started from Lake Baikal and I then started to return to Moscow. And like returning, I made stops. I stopped in Yekaterinburg, Novosibirsk, Krasnoyarsk, Irkutsk, which is in Siberia.
Όλοι οι γνωστοί μου πιστεύω ότι αργά ή γρήγορα πιστεύαν σε μένα ότι σύντομα θα βρεθώ στον υπερσιβηρικό. Και πράγματι βρέθηκα. Νομίζω πως δικαιώθηκα. Ήταν πολύ δύσκολο για μένα όλο αυτό. Έπρεπε να οργανώσω πάρα πολλά πράγματα.
You said you have a particular love for Novosibirsk. Can you please talk about that a little bit?
So as I was exploring the cities of Trans-Siberian Express, I had the opportunity to like use the train, stop in a city for like 4 or 5 days, maybe 7 days, stay there for some time so I can see the city. And out of all the cities, I like Novosibirsk because for some reason, despite the population, it has a lot of people. It's I think the biggest city in Siberia. It is the biggest city in Siberia. The people there were very, very calm. It was like so the environment there. It really attracted me. It was very different from what would you would expect from a city that has so many people. It was very calm, very nice, very relaxed, very laid back people. Like it was very, very calm. Η μεγαλύτερη πόλη της Σιβηρίας. Novosibirsk. Φοβερό. Μέρος. Φοβερή ατμόσφαιρα. Ελάτε, να το ανακαλύψουμε μαζί. Yeah, it's very nice. I really liked it in the metro as well. Although, it's of course I can understand that it's not a city for everyone because in winter it gets very cold, and I can understand it. I was experiencing it in summer, so basically there wasn't a problem with weather. It was very hot actually. Yeah, it was very good.
That's great. So, as well as that, so you kind of, did you pick up on the kind of culture of the train ride in Russia? Because as I think you kind of, there is a special kind of, well, the trains first of all, and they look very different from, they still are like the Soviet for most of it, right? And there is like a special atmosphere of this train ride, especially when it's like long distance trains. So can you share your experiences of that, and how did you feel about that personally, and what did you like, what you didn't like, and what's so special about it, if you do find it special?
So with the trains in Russia, well, to give you an example, so you can understand, the longest train journey in Greece is 4 hours. So that's funny for a Russian to, like, if a Russian hears this, it's very funny. The longest train ride that you can take in Greece is 4 hours. So
it's like Moscow to St. Petersburg, basically.
Exactly, very, very short like duration. So to experience and to actually sleep on a train, it's something that Greeks don't actually understand how it feels. It's very, very nice to sleep on a train, to hear the rail tracks when you sleep. It helps you actually also sleep very well despite being on a train. So you can actually live there. Like it's a very, very nice experience. It has all of the comforts, food, everything. You can sleep there, see the nature, see different environments, especially in winter. You can see it's very cold outside, very hot inside. It's very comfortable. The train is like a very important aspect of Russia. Like Russians use train a lot, and despite like in Greece it's totally different. The durations, as I said, is like very different. So to experience and like actually be for 20 hours in a train and to sleep, or actually even days, not just 20 hours, it's totally different. And I think if someone likes to travel with train, I think Russia is the best example, like to make a train
journey. Show a souvenir or two related to this train trip of yours.
I have the best example here. So when I reached Yekaterinburg, they say that in Yekaterinburg it's the geographical border between Europe and Asia. So when I reached there was a place where you could buy a certificate to actually, yeah, exactly, to actually say that you have visited this place. And they have given me this certificate that says that you cross the border between Asia and Europe.
Είμαι ο Ιωάννης. Βρισκόμαστε σε ένα ιδιαίτερο μέρος. Αντίστοιχό του δεν υπάρχει στον κόσμο. Βρισκόμαστε στα γεωγραφικά σύνορα δύο υπήρων, Ευρώπης και Ασίας. Ασίας και Ευρώπης. Είμαστε εδώ στα ουράλια όρη. Εδώ οι επιστήμονες και το National Geographic λέει επίσημα ότι τα ουράλια όρη είναι τα σύνορα ουσιαστικά μαζί με τη Μαύρη Θάλασσα της Ευρώπης και της Ασίας.
Interesting. Wow, I didn't know that again. It's so interesting, like how it's wonderful. Thank you so much, as well as our other guests. You have kind of you're enlightened with every interview. Our guests, they enlighten like us, those who actually live in Russia. We didn't experience. Like I know one person who went on the Trans-Siberian train from like the people I know. That's not an expat, and you have done this. We have another guest who have done this. It's absolutely wonderful, and thank you so much. It's for your passion and interest.
And something very important, because people don't realize it, it's not very expensive. Actually, it's very like reasonable. The prices are very normal. You can actually do it. It's not like something difficult in terms of price. It's more about being prepared and like be ready to do this, and like train traveling, because it's not very expensive actually. It's very normal prices, very normal.
So as well as that, you were completely immersed in Russian culture and the environment of Russia. So your Russian, actually, like your levels of Russian, that must have been really boosted by your trip. Can you please talk about your experience of learning Russian, and how did your trip influence that, and all of the trips you went on actually?
The best motivation for me, of course, was the music, because with the music you learn the lyrics, and from the lyrics you can learn the different words and these words. But the problem was that I have learned difficult words that they don't use in their ordinary daily life because of the songs. They were speaking about war. The songs were speaking about difficulties that you don't use in their daily life. So I had this problem where I have learned words in Russian that Russians don't use that much every day. What helped me was, of course, that I was forced to learn the language there when I was in my trips. You didn't have a chance, especially when you leave Moscow and St. Petersburg, you have to like learn about the language. So what helped me was I used applications from my phone, because that allowed me to learn the language while I was like traveling, or while I was maybe translating. So from the translations, while I was there, I started learning words, and this helped me a lot. How to request things, how to ask for things, how to say different things in everyday life. But yeah, you have to find your motivation in order to learn the language, because it's very difficult to learn it, and that's one of the difficulties about Russia. The language is a very huge barrier for some people, and I can understand why.
Can you share, so you said that you do apps. Can you share a funny story related to learning Russian, maybe on the trip or just outside?
I use the translation application to translate from Greek or English to Russian. So as you can probably understand, the translations are not always accurate. So at one point in my trip in Moscow, I gave actually the wrong information to my taxi driver, and it took me to a different Moscow. Like Moscow has Moscow regions. It has different cities around Moscow. So Moscow Oblast. So I gave him the wrong location, and from the translation was wrong. He understood something different, and he took me to a different place. And I was in a taxi, and I started realizing I was going somewhere completely different from what I originally have planned. I was watching the maps, like the application on the phone, the GPS, and I was watching that I was going to the different direction. So I thought I was getting kidnapped at that time. I thought that it was crazy. And then he took me to this place, and I didn't know anything about this place actually. It was out of Moscow. It was the first time going there. But then I took another taxi. It's very easy to order taxis. In Greece, it's a little bit more difficult. In Russia, it's very easy to find a taxi with the application. And it took me back to Moscow. But this is one of the examples that translation can actually cause the problems.
Thank you, Bill. That's something you should be really careful about, actually. So good that you managed to get out of this. But how many thousand rubles did you waste, I wonder?
Yeah, exactly. In Greece, it's way more expensive. Like, it's a huge change. Like, in Greece, it's very, very expensive to get a taxi, like for a very, very short amount of travel time. In Russia, it's very cheap, so you don't really consider the cost. Let's say the traveling with taxi in Russia is very cheap for the Greek because they're used to very high fuel prices. The fuel is very expensive here, so this makes also the taxi drivers put a lot of fare. Like it's very expensive to call a taxi and go somewhere with it here. But in Russia, it's completely different. So it wasn't the cost, it was actually the thing that I was getting, I felt like I was getting kidnapped. Like,
Well, glad you got out of that experience well and safe. A taxi is like basically commuting. You kind of experience that through trains, through taxi, through metro. These are things both tourists and locals do. But you worked in Russia as well, right?
I worked remotely basically, so I was very lucky because well, after the internship was done, so after my internship of that I previously mentioned, I found a good job opportunity. Basically, Apple, the very famous company Apple, was going to launch new products, and they wanted people as customer service support, and basically they wanted a lot of people out of sudden, and I wanted a very good job from my home remotely. So they send you like a computer, and you will basically work from home or remotely from wherever you are. And I was basically lucky because they were hiring people at Apple at that time because yeah, of the launch of new products, and I wanted the job very fast. So we both actually contacted, yeah, and I managed to find a job at Apple. So this helped me gather a lot of resources. And actually, when I went to Russia, I didn't have like to work at all in these 3 months. So it was just only holidays. Financially wise, I managed to go there by saving 120 euros per month on my first job. So it's not about like it's more about dedication, not about like the money. Because the money, if you're dedicated, you will end up having them.
So, what work wise, what advice can you give those who are looking for a job in Russia, who are looking to work in Russia? Perhaps, yeah, could you share your perspective on
You
that?
have to understand that in order for a Russian recruiter to recruit you, you must have something that you don't find in the local people. So you must find the right opportunity. It's also about luck, finding the correct people. What I helped me was that I made some connections with the Greek community in Moscow, and in Moscow there are still right now places that recruit Greek people. So, for example, someone that has a shop that sells perfumes and stuff like that, Greek perfumes, and they wanted like to hire me because I was Greek, and they wanted someone from Greece, and they didn't care. They wanted like to help there. So maybe an idea that came to me is that if you find people from your country, maybe they are more willing to find information and help you. Maybe find a job there.
That's amazing because that's the advice, that's the kind of advice that we are actually providing with a new service. We have a new service out. These are career consultations with our partner, Luke Jones. And these consultations actually help those who are looking to find a work in Russia to get their skill set together in order to find a job. And what you have said, so things like learning Russian, having your transferable skills actually, so people will have incentive to hire you as a foreigner. All of this is something that Luke in his consultations goes through, and kind of in order for people who are looking for a job in Russia, who do want to move and actually start a life here, to actually get the right skill set, get the right information, get the right capabilities and knowledge to do that. So thank you, Ioannis, for sharing that, because this is like the first hand
He's doing a
perspective.
fantastic job, and it's like he has very recently started doing that, and he's very successful like in a very short duration. And I see the partnership that you have done. like you have covered the most important things: bureaucracy, which is the paperwork, the immigration process. You are now helping people find job in Russia, and you have also helped them learn the language with different methods and different cooperations that you're doing.
Yeah.
So you have the whole package. And
Thank you, Ioannis. We do offer free Russian language lessons, so you're welcome to subscribe to that. Just shoot us a message at Brady Consulting Chat, and we'll subscribe you to that. And yeah, thank you. It does feel very good to actually feel like we to get feedback from what we do. So this is amazing. Thank you so much. It's a great pleasure to hear that. Thanks a lot. So, coming back to the last block, basically, with the job things covered, um, you have said already that, first of all, Russia takes courage. Going into Russia as a foreigner, as a tourist, or as an expat, it does take courage. First of all, so you kind of mentioned that there's a propaganda aspect, and the fact that there's a language barrier and things like that. But you were also saying that perseverance pays off and dedication does. Can you please talk a little and expand on that a little
if
more?
we go back to my example of saving 120 euros per month, you need to be very self-motivated to go and like find a clear objective, because in these 10 months I wasn't like buying simple things, maybe for example like a gift for myself, like we used to say. So you have to be dedicated and find this dedication to go there. I wish it was a little bit easier, like it's for example a Greek to visit Italy, for example, or another country. In order to visit Russia, you need to find your self motivation and courage. So, of course, it really helps if you maybe like note everything down, make plans, and of course, update the plans. It has helped me a lot to write everything down and financially wise and everything, so I can know what I'm going to spend pretty much. And because I have already done the trip two times, so with 3 months in 2023 and 1 month in 2021, I now have the experiences of what I'm going to spend basically. So if you visit Russia a little bit, sometimes you will build like the experience, and you will know pretty much how much you need per day. The hotels, for example, aren't that expensive like in Greece. They are cheaper, for example. You can save some money there. Something Greeks should know, for example. Yeah.
So, when's your next trip?
Oh, of course, the next trip, well, as I said previously, I really want to make other people visit Russia. That's why I have created this channel. It's not about me, it's about getting other people to visit and meet Russia and see the reality. So it's time for me to bring one of the most important people in my life in Russia. It's going to be in May 2026, and I'm going to bring my sister so she learns about the country as well, and to experience Victory Day, because let me also show you something really quick. Uh, the the Second World War, the Patriotic War, was very important, and I have here with me one book that is very important to me. It says about the days of war. So Victory Day in Russia is a huge celebration in May. So I hope to go there in the next Victory Day. And it was 80 years, 80 years from the end of the war.
Yeah, I mean it is a huge celebration, obviously, in Russia every year, and it is very important for historical and cultural significance, obviously, for locals, and it's very interesting to hear, and it's very good to hear that people from around the world reciprocate to this, because it is a very big part of Russian culture, Russian history, and yeah, just the Russian mentality.
It's important to not forget the people that helped this, like because of these people we are now able to make this interview. We are able to like it's very important to remember the veterans of the war, the heroes, and all of these people, because of them we are free today. And this is the message that I want to pass from my channel. That's why if you visit my channel, you will see that despite the difficulties and everything that's going on in Greece, we are celebrating Victory Day every year, even when we had COVID. We have huge gatherings, we have music, live concerts, movies in the cinemas. We're doing a lot of stuff, especially in Athens, the capital. Despite the difficulties, it's huge victory. It's a huge celebration, and of course, it's very important for me to also share it with others. So if I had the chance, I will probably like tell all Greeks to at least visit Moscow in May because it's an amazing time. The weather is ideal, everything is very nice.
Great. So then, last but not least, Johannes, what motivates you? So you talked about creating opportunity. What motivates you to continue creating opportunities for yourself every day, despite the struggles that life throws at
Actually,
us?
right now it's actually pretty simple. I have encountered, right, like I have experienced how it feels to be in Russia, and I understood very well how it feels to be there. So these experiences that I have from my previous trips, right now it helped me to want to experience them again. I see no reason why not to visit Russia. Like it's a no-brainer right now for me after the experiences, after experiencing all of these things that I was searching on the internet. Basically, guys, from 2016 until 2021, all of these years, I was dreaming about visiting Russia and going there. And when I finally did it, I realized that I was searching for what I found from my research was correct. I was proven right, and I saw that the people around me were only affected by the propaganda that is going on. I saw with my eyes that uh, I found the truth actually. So this is the inspiration to both go back to see all of these places again and again. It's very motivational right now for me, and to show them to other people, like in my case, my sister, my family, and others, other Greeks, for example.
Thank you, Anas. That was very interesting to talk to you. Thank you so much for your stories. Thank you so much for your answers. And if you guys want to learn your own truth, go ahead, as we said before, move on and move to Russia. And thank you so much, Ioannis. It was a great pleasure.
Thank you so much, guys, and thank you so much, Breathing Consulting. I wanted to have like this chance to speak to the other people, especially those that haven't visited Russia, and it was a very good opportunity to be here with you
Thank you so
today.
much.
Thank
Yeah, it
you
was
so
a
much.
pleasure. Enjoy the rest of your day and have fun. Thank you so much, guys. It was a pleasure. It was great to chat with Ioannis, and we're looking forward to collaborate more on further opportunities. We'll link many things we have talked about below. Yes, we're just very looking forward to connect with everybody on Russia and our further potential opportunities. Have a great day. See you on the next one. Bye.
Księżycu